Chairman John Carvelli, Executive Officer Andy Foster. The World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, has assigned 3 former world champions to unofficially score.
The popular media sensation and the undefeated boxer known as Jake Paul.
The battle.
That was a shot. That was a shot.
That is
promising that this one will not.
Capital task. The referee.
this man on the planet. One of the most devastating heavyweight KO punchers of all times. Iron Mike Tyson.
I don't want any more of this. Mike Tyson
is out there fighting right now.
Yep.
Coming 10, y'all 2 are the judges. Let's touch them up. Rook, when are you ready? Buck!
And we've had an accidental headbutt. I heard
Jake Paul seems pretty relaxed.
Okay, because I'm like, you can't run in this.
on the
Felt like a body. Then that left hook kind of landed.
That was a shot. That was
Right.
got it.
well. There's a double, triple jab with Mike Tyson.
He does.
Referee encouraging them. 2 legends left.
Would this be a round?
Possible task. The referee will have to really be.
And maybe the side of the back, Jake Paul up.
Oh, right into the body. Another hip hop OG Snoop Dogg. And look at this. Oh,
Nice combination.
A little bit
A little uppercut from Jake Paul. Back
too slow on his feet. Well, he was already cut up right there.
Yeah, that was
Nice 1-2 there. That was a solid 1-2 by.
Forward remains. Oh, just clocked 1 minute rounds.
more so. Willie just doesn't seem comfortable in there. He took a right hand from
Liver and upstairs with that left hook, and there's a little of that bobbing weaving, of course.
Good exchange there in the inside. That was a pretty good uppercut, but that was pretty.
Up and not take no big hits, but keep it in tight like that.
But is it entertaining and exciting for?
Jake came out swinging, and I mean literally. From the first bell, it was clear he was out to prove a point. He launched into a rapid flurry of jabs that caught everyone off guard. The crowd expected him to be on the defensive, maybe feeling out the fight, but instead, he was the aggressor. The surprising part, he actually managed to push Tyson back. He was indeed taking risks early, and it was paying off, at least for a moment. But then came the million-dollar question. Was Tyson just letting him take the lead, or was something off? It seemed like a scene out of a psychological thriller. Tyson, the Predator, wasn't launching back with his trademark aggression. Instead, he stood there, absorbing jabs, occasionally shuffling his feet like he was waiting for something. Was he caught off guard, rusty from years out of the ring, or was it part of some master plan? This back and forth made the tension in the arena almost unbearable. Tyson's calmness wasn't comforting. It was eerie. Jake, for all his jabs and combos, hadn't even scratched the surface. It felt like Tyson was sizing him up, waiting for the exact moment to remind everyone who the real powerhouse was in that ring. And that moment almost came. Out of nowhere, Jake went for a body punch combo, trying to break Tyson's guard. But then Tyson, with that split-second speed that only he possesses, unleashed one of his signature uppercuts. It was a punch packed with all the brutality of his prime years, and it came just inches away from Jake's chin. For a second, time seemed to stop. The audience gasped, and even Jake seemed frozen. If that uppercut had connected, we'd be talking about a very different fight right now. But Jake slipped it, barely. It was a razor-thin escape that sent chills through the crowd. For Jake, it was a near brush with disaster that showed just how dangerous Tyson still was, even if he hadn't fully warmed up yet.
He can't let Mike get...
Skills of some of the greatest MMA strikers ever, including Evander Sullivan. There's a double left hook by Tyson.
He can't let Mike get settled with the right hand.
That was a move and a half. He went real low. That was a low rider move right there.
Jake's early success seemed to make the audience question everything. Was Jake Paul actually holding his own against Mike Tyson? Could he really outbox a legend, or was it just beginner's luck? Each punch Jake landed added to the suspense. But Tyson's reactions, or rather his lack of reactions, told a different story. There was no panic, no urgency in Tyson's movements. It felt like watching a lion yawn while a cub tried to nip at its tail. Sure, Jake threw more punches, and on paper, he looked like the more active fighter. But Tyson's stone-faced calmness hinted at something more. He was merely waiting, biding his time. From the moment the bell rang for round 2, Jake Paul's strategy was clear. Move, move, and keep moving. He had tasted just a glimpse of Tyson's power in the first round and didn't want any part of it again. You could see the urgency in the way he circled the ring, staying light on his feet, desperately avoiding Tyson's attempts to trap him against the ropes. The entire round felt like a high-stakes chase. Jake's quick footwork may have saved him from Tyson's wrath early in the second round, but it wasn't enough to keep the pressure off. Tyson's relentless forward march was a constant threat, turning the ring into a battlefield that was closing in on Jake, inch by inch. It was almost like a game of chess, but one where the pieces were moving at lightning speed. Jake would try to establish distance, using his jabs to keep Tyson at bay. But every time he thought he'd created some breathing room, Tyson would cut off his angles with one swift pivot.
This is a grandma, they out there fighting again.
Battered him with the right hand to the butt.
Absolutely.
The problem was that Jake was working overtime just to stay alive, burning energy trying to escape Tyson's traps. All the while, Tyson looked like he was in his comfort zone, conserving energy and waiting for his chance. When round 3 started, the pace changed again. Jake came out firing, looking to flip the narrative, perhaps sensing that he needed to regain control. He threw a flurry of jabs, then followed up with a quick 1-2 combination aimed at Tyson's midsection. A bold move considering how Tyson had shrugged off most of his shots earlier. But this time, Jake connected. He landed a sharp right hook that seemed to take Tyson by surprise. It wasn't enough to hurt Tyson, but it was enough to get the crowd buzzing. That momentary success lit a spark of hope in Jake's corner. But if Jake thought he could build momentum off that one shot, Tyson had other plans. The moment Jake tried to press his advantage, Tyson shifted gears. He took a step forward, slipped under Jake's jab, and unleashed a monstrous right hook that crashed into Jake's guard and nearly sent him stumbling. The sound of that punch reverberated around the arena like a shotgun blast. Even though Jake managed to block it partially, the impact was enough to rattle him. You could see it in his eyes. He was shaken, his rhythm disrupted. Tyson's sheer power in that one punch was a chilling reminder of the gap in experience and strength between them. As round 4 began, it was like a switch flipped in Tyson's mind. He came out of his corner with an intensity that was worlds apart from the previous rounds. There was no more testing the waters, no more playing it safe. This was the Iron Mike people remembered from his prime. Right from the bell, he launched into Jake with a brutal series of punches that had everyone in the arena on the edge of their seats. Left, right, and then a crushing hook that seemed to come out of nowhere. Jake, who had been trying to stay elusive in earlier rounds, was caught completely off guard. He wasn't just backpedaling, he was scrambling, desperately throwing his arms around Tyson to avoid the onslaught. It wasn't pretty. For a few seconds, Jake looked less like a professional fighter and more like someone clinging for dear life. Jake's instinct to clinch wasn't just a defensive move. It was survival. He wrapped his arms around Tyson in a clumsy, almost desperate embrace, trying to neutralize the power coming at him. With each swing from Tyson, Jake's attempts to grapple looked more like an MMA fighter attempting a takedown than a boxer. It was obvious to everyone watching. Jake wasn't in control anymore. Every time he locked up Tyson's arms, he was buying just a few more seconds to catch his breath. But Tyson wasn't having it. He shrugged off the clinches, pushing Jake back like he was swatting away a fly, and then immediately resumed his relentless attack. It was a devastating display of power and precision, and for the first time, you could see genuine fear in Jake's eyes. From that point on, Tyson was relentless. He started landing heavy shots with brutal efficiency, targeting Jake's midsection and ribs with the kind of vicious hooks that had made him a legend decades ago. Each punch seemed to dig deeper, sap more energy out of Jake, and erode whatever semblance of a game plan he had left. The crowd went wild, sensing the tide had fully turned. Jake's earlier bravado, his taunts and flurries of jabs, all of it was crumbling. He looked lost, disoriented, and every time he tried to throw a counter, Tyson would shut him down with another punishing blow. And then it happened. After a few more brutal exchanges, Tyson saw his opening. With Jake pinned against the ropes trying to cover up, Tyson unleashed a crushing left uppercut that snapped Jake's head back, followed by a right hook that landed flush on his temple. Jake crumpled to the canvas, his eyes glazed over, arms flailing as he struggled to find his bearings. The referee stepped in immediately, waving off the fight. It was over. Tyson had done it. Jake Paul, the YouTube star turned boxer, was flat on his back, knocked out cold in the 4th round. But what really stunned everyone wasn't just the knockout. It was the fact that Jake had managed to survive 4 rounds in the first place. Tyson's power and precision had been on full display, and yet Jake had somehow made it through 3.5 rounds without getting dropped. Some fans might have been tempted to give Jake credit for hanging tough.
gloves.
I called him yesterday. We were looking for you. We were looking for you. We working your gloves. Yeah.
The whole training camp. I called you 3 times yesterday, man.
They say,
Ross.
Letting Jake survive those early rounds wasn't a show of Jake's skill or resilience. It was Tyson's strategy all along. Did you see that coming? Seriously, drop your wildest thoughts about the fight in the comments below.